Hey kindergarten art friends! Hopefully you have already watched the reading out loud of Lucy Cousin's Hooray for Fish, and you've seen my little video where we walk through the different parts of a fish and talk a little bit about a fish's home to help us get started brainstorming our ideas for our assignment. For today, for Monday, you're going to do a little bit of sketching. Sketching is when we make practice drawings. This allows us to get some of our mistakes out of the way. It also lets us wake up our imaginations and our creativity to start to get some plans and ideas for what we'll make for our final piece. So for today, you need either your small sketchbook from your art packet and a pencil, or you can get some old scrap paper. Scrap paper is a great way to take paper that you don't need any longer and put some use to the back of it. This helps us to recycle and reuse, which is a great thing to do for our environment. So I always keep a little stack of scrap paper at home and in the art room so that if I need to make a quick sketch of something, I can do it on the back of this old paper, and then I'll recycle it when I'm all the way finished, or I'll keep it if it ends up being one of my favorite drawings. So I have two pieces here because we're going to make two different fish for this assignment. So you're going to end up with two different pieces of fish artwork when you're finished. And we're going to end up doing our watercolor resist that we practiced last week when we painted the loom for our paper weavings, which turned out so awesome. I'm so impressed with all your hard work. So today, have your papers and your pencil, and this is just about practicing some ideas. So I'm going to try to come up with two different fish ideas that I saw inspired by Lucy Cousin's book, because I love that book because it's filled with so many different fish shapes and designs. So let's go ahead and get started. Have your scrap paper or your sketchbook ready to go and a pencil. Okay, I have two pieces of paper ready to go for me to do my sketches on. If you're working in your sketchbook is small, and you might practice your details on two different pages. If you're using some scrap paper, we'll work to fill the whole space. You're going to want a pencil. A pencil is a great sketching tool because it has an eraser. So anytime you make a mistake or something you don't like, you can go ahead and erase it. We're going to draw two different fish. We want to make them nice and different. So for my first piece, or my first fish, I'm going to draw in Sharpie just so that you see all of my lines, but this is the part that I need to do in pencil, and it's a great way for you to get started drawing. We've been practicing lots of different shapes, and we practice shapes because shapes are a great tool in helping us start any drawing. When we get started with a drawing, it's nice to use some shapes to help plot out the space that our drawing is going to take up. So for that, we want to start with the main shape of our fish body. For this one, I'm going to make a nice long kind of skinny fish. So I'm going to use an oval shape here. You can see I'm sketching it really lightly. That'll make it easier to erase the lines I don't need. And I sketched it over lots of times. Usually the first time we draw something, it's not our best. And the same goes true with our sketches. So by doing it a bunch of times, I know that one of these lines is probably going to be a great line to help me with the outline of my fish. To start, I'm going to start with my fish's mouth at this end. And I think I'm going to start by making a nice big open fish mouth by using kind of some oval shapes there. So those are some big fish lips that are nice and open for my fish mouth. Now I'm going to use that guideline that I made from my oval shape to help shape the rest of my fish body to take it back where it's going to find the fish tail. Remember, we're going to come up with two different fish ideas, and we want to try to make them look nice and different. So I'm going to come up with some details on this one, and I'm going to see if I can use my imagination and creativity to come up with an entirely different fish on my next one. So to start, I think this one I'm going to have some kind of pointy triangle type shapes to help me with my fish. So I'm going to give it kind of some spiky fins. And kind of some boxier fin shapes here. All right, I think this is looking awesome so far. I want to make another fin in the middle. Those are the fins on the side that are helping my fish to swim. I'm going to give my fish a nice big eyeball. And a little kind of like cartoonish eye, but it's cute. I like it. All right, before I get into the details on my fish, I'm going to focus on the details around my fish. It's important for me to give my fish a background. The background are the things happening around my fish. Where is my fish? We know that our fish lives underwater. What details can we add to help our viewer to know that this fish is underwater? First, let's add some circles to be bubbles coming out of our fish's mouth, which reminds me that if my fish is breathing, my fish needs some gills. So a couple curved lines will help to create my fish gills. Next, I'm going to make this fish look like it is swimming on the coral reef. So I'm going to draw some coral. The first coral I'm going to make is going to kind of have a wavy line shape to create kind of a bush looking shape. Then I'm going to add some small polka dot pattern to add details to this piece of coral. Okay. Now I'm going to make a different type of coral. There's so many different types of coral that are under the water. This one I'm going to grow up and it's going to end up looking a lot like a tree by using, again, some wavy lines. And then I'm going to just have them branch out, littler lines. If you're following along with me, remember that if I am moving too fast for you, you can always pause the video until you're ready for the next step. So it's just lots of wavy lines that are attached to each other to create our coral. Okay, I'm liking how this is looking. I think one more thing I really want to do is use our spiral line to create a seashell at the bottom of the ocean where my fish lives. I'll add a couple lines to be details. All right. Now, one of the other things we can do to add details to our background are to add some other sea creatures. One other sea creature I could make are just other tiny little fish. In your picture, the things that are the smallest are the things that are furthest away from our viewer. And the things that are the biggest are closest to your viewer. So we can tell that our fish is the biggest thing in our picture. So it's the thing that's closest to our viewer. These other fish could be the exact same size as this fish. They're just so much farther away that they look much, much smaller. I think now, if someone were to look at this drawing, they would know for sure that my fish is swimming under the water in the ocean. it's time to add some more details to this fish to make it very special and unique. The first design that I'm going to do on the body of my fish. I'm going to give my fish a scaly pattern because we know that most fish body are covered with scales. I can make a scale pattern. I turn my paper to the side and I'm making lots of U shapes. And they're just in a row right next to each other. On each row of my scales, I try to shift it just a little bit to make it look more like they're overlapped. So on the next line, when I'm making it, I start my U in the middle of one scale and go to the middle of the other one. This helps me make it look as though I have scales sitting on top of each other. That's called overlapping. Even have some scales that are going off down to the underbelly of my fish. Again, if I'm going too fast for you, just remember to pause until you're ready to move on. I'm going to continue my scale pattern all the way down to my fish's tail fin. On the tail fin and the other fins, I'm going to make a different type of pattern. Okay. I think I like the way that looks. That looks like a very scaly fish. Now it's time for a couple details for my fins. I think on this I'll use wavy lines in pairs to make a couple wavy line stripes that I'll color a different color on my fins. So 2 lines next to each other will make a wavy line stripe. Okay, I think that's one fish down, one more to go. I'll set him off to the side and grab my other piece of paper. If you're working in your sketchbook, just turn your page. So for this one, I want to make a different shaped body. We're going to try to make 2 very different looking fish. So the last one I started with a skinny body. This one, let's give it a nice round fat body. The last one had big open mouth with some fish lips. So this one I'm going to give a pointy kind of snout looking mouth too. And then I'm going to follow how I created my circle shape to help me guide my fish shape to the back. Okay, that's a much different looking shaped body by using one for an oval and one for a circle. I have already big differences in this fish. My last fish fins were very pointy. Let's use some wavy lines to make some big flowy fish fins. This reminds me of the betta fish that I have at home. His name is Gil. So I'll create wavy fish fins. All right, this one needs an eye too. This one will be a little bit of a smaller eye. So I'm trying to think each of the different decisions I made on my last fish. On this one, I'm trying to think about making different choices here. Before I do the details on my fish, let's focus on the background of this one too. some gills, and this part might be the same. I like making little bubbles where my fish is breathing underwater. So that part might be the only part that maybe looks the same from both of my pictures. On this one, let's make some underwater seaweed. So just like the stripes that we made on our last fish, on its fins, two wavy lines next to each other help to create some flowy seaweed. I'm going to make some more seaweed here. This time, my seaweed is going to disappear behind my fish fins. My fish is overlapping my seaweed. It's in front. And so because I'm drawing my seaweed behind my fish, you can tell that my fish is the closest thing to you in my drawing. I'd like to make a sea creature on this one too. I think for this one, how about I make a little jellyfish? Gonna make a little half circle and then a wavy line underneath, and now other wavy lines to be the tentacles coming out from my jellyfish. I want this jellyfish to be behind my other fish. It kind of looks like maybe it's even stinging it, but really it's just behind it. And then a couple other details for my jellyfish. Oh, I think he looks so cute. I like it a lot. Okay, I like him so much, I think I'm going to make another jellyfish over here. It's like my fish is swimming through a whole school of jellyfish. Is that what they call them? I know it's a school of fish. Is it a school of jellyfish too? I'll have to look that up. His tentacles are going to go all the way behind. Those are long tentacles. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. The last thing is to add the details to my fish's body. I'm going to continue more wavy lines to give some stripes for my fish fins. And maybe I'm going to think about color choices too. I might not color these in. These are just sketches unless I really want to. But I am thinking about what colors I might use. I'm thinking that I might color my stripes on my fins every other one. I feel like maybe purple and red might be my choice for these fish fins. So stripy, wavy lines are going to be my detail for my fish fins. And it's going to be the same way for my fish tail. Okay, now the fish body needs some details too. What about some polka dots? I'm going to make kind of large polka dots by just making a bunch of smaller circles on my fish. Some of my polka dots I'm going to have just be a half a polka dot on the edge of my fish. That makes whoever's looking at my art think that that polka dot goes all the way around my fish's body, and that my fish is not just flat on my paper, but my fish is more real because they can picture my whole round fish. Okay. So full of details. 2 whole fish finished. and two fish looking very, very different. I have this one with an oval body and kind of pointy fins where I use some triangle shapes to help me draw and some straight lines. I made some coral and tiny little fish in the background of my fish. I decorated its body with a scaly pattern and with some wavy line stripes. This fish looks very different. It has a very pointy mouth and a much smaller eye. It has some very flowy fins with some natural curvy lines that have some stripes and a polka dotted body. And my fish is swimming through some seaweed and some jellyfish. I can't wait to see some of your own ideas or the work that you practiced when you were sketching to get warmed up for our assignment. I'll see you tomorrow as we take our sketches and put them into our real final art project for this week. So how did your fish turn out? Did you work to create fish that look like mine? Or did you create some of your own ideas? Either way is great. I hope you had fun doing some sketching work with me today. Let's meet back here tomorrow for the next steps. Bye!